Hi, thanks for tuning in to High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to all the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're talking about Black Mold, the psychological horror film that's hitting the festivals and bringing in the praise. We're going to review it, and with us today we have the writer and director, John Pata.
Hell yeah.
He's going to spill his guts to us in an exclusive interview. All that and more today on
High on Horror.
Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. All right, we're going to start off here with Strain Wreck, the segment of our show where we discuss what strain of cannabis we're getting wrecked on. And John, you got something nice for us today. What is it?
I'm sure a lot of people heard of this one. Got some 707 headband.
Okay.
24.24% THC.
All right.
And headband, it's also known as HB. I've never heard that, but according to Leafly, that's a nickname. You ever heard anybody call headband HB?
No.
Not me either. It's a hybrid a hybrid marijuana strain and a love child of cannabis's power couple. I like these descriptions they give. OG Kush and Sour Diesel. I did not know that. See, we're educational as well. I like both of those strains.
Yep, you can't go wrong with either.
This smooth, creamy smoke is accented by flavors of lemon and diesel, while the long-lasting effects are great for pain relief, helping you to relax and combat elevated stress levels. Many report that the effects create a slight pressure around the crown of the head and feel as though you're wearing a headband. I have to say, usually I call bullshit on that, but I feel like that does happen to me when I smoke headband. I don't know if maybe it's all psychosomatic or not, but I have felt that. Anyway, have you?
No. I can't. Not that I can remember.
I feel like if you did, you would remember.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to do. I don't know. I don't know how some people remember. Like, I can understand certain strains if you have certain memories with certain things happening, like when you smoked a certain strain.
Yeah.
But when people are like, oh, when I smoked this, I feel this way. I'm like, I can't remember. I smoked too many different things to, like, well, not different drugs, but smoked too many different strains to pinpoint,
heroin,
like,
crack.
which one is like, oh, yeah, this one's for this and this one's for this. It's like, I don't know. They're all just, I get baked either way, so.
And the effects have been known to come on slow, so pace yourself with this potent hybrid. Feelings are creative, euphoric, uplifted. Our negatives are headaches, dry eyes, and of course the classic old dry mouth. There was one review here that let me see if I can't find it again. Oh, here it was. Been smoking this, but for some reason now at 3 a.m. it's smacking me hard. I can feel the intense pressure in my face and slightly in my crown. Smoked. Okay, this starts with a parenthesis that never ends at any point in this review. Smoked a lower dose out of a bong, so the crown feeling is a bit slight. Just came back from taking 2 more hits. So I guess this guy was typing his review in segments.
I guess. I
feel good. I'm in the zone. If you have a potent enough cut like mine, that crown pressure goes behind the eyes and it I read that right. It makes you eyes watery, at least right now, in bed looking at my phone. Nice and strong, just how I like my lemon/diesel strains. Tasty as well. Pretty rare still nowadays, but if you see it, grab it and funk that house up.
What the fuck?
That is, I saw that review, so I had to share that one.
All right, well, I guess you're going to spark that up. We'll try
this.
it. So, yeah, look, as far as current events go, there's a lot going on. I mean, this is the first episode of October, as you pointed out to me before we started recording, and Saw X is in theaters. We're going to get a review out of that soon. Exorcist Believers coming out this week. We're going to be getting a review out for that soon. I mean, looking forward to both of those. I'm looking forward to both of those, but I have zero expectations for both of them as well. I'm just hoping to have a good time. How did you feel about it?
Is Rohan Campbell an exorcist?
What the fuck?
Is David Gordon Green just gonna bring him over?
We'll see. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I laugh.
But are you looking forward more to Saw? I mean, obviously you're a big Saw fan.
Man, I do like Saw, but like,
you know, neither one of these. I don't have. Like I said, I'm hoping to have a good time. That's what I'll say.
You say I'm very negative on movies lately, so I really don't have high hopes for either one of these. David Gordon Green, after Halloween ends, let's see, maybe it'll be better, but I think of the Nickelback song. Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh when I see the trailer of Reagan.
Yes.
But it's not really Reagan. It's just Linda Blair from another movie.
Yeah.
And I bring that up that ever since you pointed it out to me, I've like told so many people.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, you got to see this. It's not even from the movie.
I mean, they could easily say that's an Easter egg, but that's kind of whack to use a poster from another movie.
Don't give people ideas that they just make mistakes. That was actually an Easter egg.
It's like, is a poster from another movie actually an Easter egg, though? It's not really an Easter egg, is it?
Or like I guess it was a production still from another movie.
Speaking of David Gordon Green, actually, so it's funny that we're bringing him up. Halloween is being shopped around now that Blumhouse is done with it.
Saw that.
So it looks like we might get more Halloween movies. They're going to bring Michael back. Obviously, he's coming back. I know with Jamie Lee Curtis won't be a part of this series. John Carpenter might, who knows, but Halloween is being shopped
Carpenter
around.
has his own TV show coming out. But.
Yes, and but yeah, so Halloween could possibly, like I said, more movies. A show's being talked about, and I heard just yesterday, that A24 is in the running or for top bids, like in top bid, basically for the Halloween series. I think they want to develop it as a television series.
What I actually saw about the television series was they want to set it in the world of Halloween 3. And if A24 did that,
that'd be crazy. I didn't hear that.
Huh. You're just going to shake your head, I know, when I say, let's give it to Robert Eggers. Let him do TV now.
No, because I don't know. Like, I like him, but his artsy, fucking ambiguous shit does not belong in Halloween. Don't
on Halloween
do it.
3, yeah, it does.
Do you think so?
Halloween 3 has an ambiguous ending.
Well, an ending, but not like every. I don't want to worry about like was the shadow on the wall significant to the fucking. You know,
see,
I don't want to have to worry about that.
Damn, you got that ADD.
Just give me a fucking horror movie.
But yeah, I'm interested in that TV show.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so Blumhouse just used up Halloween like a beat up whore and just left it on the side of the road for somebody else to pick up.
Yep.
Fucking disgusting.
So we're gonna fucking throw Michael Myers in the meat grinder.
And, I mean, since it's October, I'm just going to throw it out. I watched Halloween 2018 again.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me try to see if I can hate it. Because I hate the last one. Nah, man, it's still good. It holds up. The first one holds up.
It sucks. I mean, and Kills, the things I still like Kills, too. It was going back and rewatching it. I said I originally
I did
liked
rewatch
Kills
that
more.
as well.
And I don't, though. I think 2018 was better, but I do still like Kills. Kills was off a bit, but it was like, okay, like, back in the day, slasher sequels barely exceeded their predecessor. So, barely and rarely. So, it's like, so for Kills to not be as good, I'm still kind of like, that's okay. It was still good enough to entertain me. But ends, man, that just like, how do you fucking drop the ball in every way conceivable? Like, what?
I watched 2018
How?
And then I watched Kills the next day, and it was the extended cut is the one I bought.
Yeah.
And I hadn't watched the extended cut since I bought it, and we watched Halloween Kills enough that I knew what the extended scenes were, and they made it worse, I thought.
Okay.
Like, I didn't like... I'm too high to think of them right now, but I remember watching and was like, that was longer than what it was, and it didn't need to be.
All right, was Danny DeVito's suicide, like, extended or
Danny
anything?
DeVito's suicide? That's so fucked up. Well, I think in the extended cut, they actually see her dad, I believe. Like,
okay.
You don't actually see him, but you see him, like, looking in the morgue. And, like, that shit bothered me from Halloween Kills. Yeah, what fucking hospital just leaves the dead bodies in a room just out where people walk?
Yeah, right.
With not even a curtain pulled across.
It could have been a kid fucking looking in, you
so
know?
rewatching Kills, I think it's fell a little bit for me.
Okay.
I don't know if Ends has anything to do with it, just because I know it doesn't end up well going from there. But, I mean, 2018's still solid.
Either way, though,
James
Kills.
Courtney Vicious.
He's still, either way, regardless of what I think of the movies, he's still the best Michael Myers since fucking Nick Castle, no question. Like, his performance as Michael.
Dick Warlock.
His performance as Michael in those movies is not anything. I'm not questioning that at all. Fuck, I had a point, you made me lose it. God damn it.
I was
Man,
gonna say one last thing
gotta
because
bring
this
up
train
James
wreck
Jude Courtney
is
and
just,
distract me. Come on.
this train wreck just turned into us talking about the Halloween franchise again, which is funny. But one last thing, watching Kills, how did that black lady that works at the cemetery survive? Bro, he stabbed her in the neck with a
No.
fluorescent bulb, and she has to lay there and watch as her husband just getting, her boyfriend or whatever, just
like
getting
pincushion.
stabbed like a pincushion.
Yeah.
And that blood is just gushing out her neck, but somehow she alive and Halloween ends.
Well, my point was, before what I forgot was, Halloween Kills still has the dumbest fucking kill ever, though, with the fucking, the car door hitting the nurse. And hitting the doctor, and the fucking it's the nurse. Yeah, it's hits the nurse's gun, and the gun turns inward and shoots
after our
herself
boy
in the
Michael
head.
Smallwood got
Yeah,
killed.
it's just that was
He put
ridiculous.
up a much better fight.
Yeah, but okay, and one more thing.
All right.
Of course, I'm going to bring it up because we've been on hiatus and haven't been able to bring it up. But yeah, congratulations on the baby, John.
Thank you.
John had a little beautiful little baby boy named Yuri.
He's already getting corrupted. He ain't watching anything. Funny, when Halloween was on and I was feeding him, I was like, "Ooh, Jamie Lee Curtis was here. She called me a piece of shit right now."
That's good. Like I was gonna say, first time we've gotten to bring this up, so of course I'm gonna bring it up. Godzilla -1.
Yeah, you
know?
showed me, Josh, the teaser trailer, then the full trailer.
Yeah, man. The December 1st release date. I can't fucking wait.
Is Godzilla -1 a Christmas movie?
We'll see. No, but I've said this before on here like several times, but I love when Godzilla's the hero, but my favorite movies are when Godzilla is that disaster movie, when it's like apocalyptic, like holy shit, what are we gonna do? How do we defend ourselves? Like we're fucked. Those are the best Godzilla movies to me. When humanity's like at its lowest and has to like fucking strive to survive if it can. But this takes place post-war, and the design is Heisei Godzilla and Godzilla the Ride sort of infused, and it's directed by Takashi Yamazaki, who I've never seen anything he's done, but apparently he's a good director and critically acclaimed. And this is going to be the 37th Godzilla film and the 33rd. That makes it the 33rd Toho Godzilla film.
Damn it, I thought Fast and the Furious had a lot of movies.
Fam.
I mean, Godzilla about fam.
But we're going to go see it, right? You're going to see it with me, right? Like, you're not
I'll
bailing
go
on this
see
one.
it. I mean, it's no Gamera, but I'll go see it.
It is technically a horror movie, so yeah. All right, well, with all that being said, I'm going to take another hit of this bowl, and let's roll into horror history.
This week in horror history.
All right, let's get started with some horror hiss. I don't know if you noticed in the notes, I started changing the spelling of words.
Yes, I've noticed.
You did notice it?
Yes.
I changed it from birth to births and deaths. Like
I saw deaths, so I was like, oh, God.
I made an effort to throw it in the middle and not off the bat, so that way you wouldn't see it.
I caught it. It was towards the end,
Nice.
yeah.
Anyway, starting on October 2nd, for a birth in 1895, Bud Abbott of obviously Abbott and Costello fame. Did you watch a lot of movies of them as a kid?
Just the Frankenstein one, Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, my dad was a big horror fan of the
Not Young
Universal
Frankenstein.
Monsters.
I'm sorry, Abbott and Costello. The fucking what the fuck? The Abbott and Costello Frankenstein movie. That's the one that I saw.
Yeah. I mean, they pretty much had horror comedies with pretty much every Universal monster, which I saw. I'm pretty sure I've probably seen them all because my dad was a big Universal monster fan, and he was
Yeah.
also a huge Abbott and Costello fan, so we had like all of them. 1936, David Gale in The Reanimator and also in The Bride of the Reanimator. 1971, 80s mall teen queen Tiffany. She was in Mega Piranha.
Mega Python.
Mega Python. That sounds like something Hogan would have been saying back in the 80s.
Check out my Mega Pythons.
1986, Camilla Bell. She was in 10,000 BC, When a Stranger Calls, and The Lost World. quickly, just totally unrelated, Jurassic Park movies, the original trilogy, how many of those are good?
The first.
Yeah, first one, right?
Yeah.
The other two aren't that great.
Correct.
Thank you. Nicole's watched them all. She's like, no, they're all good. I'm like, no. It's the first one. It's like the Scream franchise.
Yeah, it's like I'll watch them for dinosaur fun, but the only movie that I take seriously and consider to be an actually good movie is the first one.
1999, Lee Richardson. He was in The Believers, which is a movie I keep waiting to go on sale on Vudu. I've heard of it. Has an interesting cast. I want to see it. I'll probably be let down, but it's still one I want to check out. The Fly 2 and The Exorcist 3. Just in those sequels. Fly 2 is not that great.
No, it wasn't that good, especially following up the Cronenberg film, but
I mean,
how
do you follow that? You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then for deaths, we have 1999 Lee Richardson, who appeared in the film. Jesus Christ, I'm fucking too high. So I just announced him as a birthday. He was actually a death. Mm-hmm. Fucking struggling over here. You just let me go, just looking like an idiot.
I'm struggling too. So I feel.
It's a headband, bro.
Yep, yeah.
Films. Second best vampire film, Near Dark, 1987.
Like Near Dark a lot.
Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, 2001.
Tremors is one of those movies that after the first one I'm out. I think I've said that before. I'm out after the first.
See, I don't mind watching 2. 3's okay, and then I was like, I'm not watching a 4th one.
I don't even know what number they're on now. I lost track.
The Ring, 2002. I just watched that recently, and I think I've probably actually said it on this podcast. That movie aesthetically is like my favorite looking movie, like with the rain and everything.
And that blue filter.
Yeah. Just make every horror movie like that.
It's almost like a turquoise tilter.
Yeah.
Filter, yeah.
Tilter. And again, Brian Cox, amazing character actor and everything he does. And also, for films, we have Zombieland 2009.
Love Zombieland, but you really took to Zombieland. I always liked it, but I mean, you really liked it.
Well, I mean, it's got Emma Stone in it, so I'm already in there. When that came out, that's not how... That was not on purpose. That was unfortunate grouping of words. But,
very, very poor choice of words.
Yeah. Wow, that was bad. Zombieland, I'd have to think a little more on it, but just... maybe 28 Days Later, but I guess that's not a zombie film. But Zombieland might be my favorite zombie film, and it's a comedy.
You like it more than Shaun of the Dead?
Oh, fuck. How did I forget about Shaun of the Dead? It's like a tie.
Okay, fair enough.
They're both really good.
Be a good double bill.
October 3rd, for birthdays, 1973, Lena Headey. I just want to include her because of Game of Thrones. I love Cersei. She's appeared in Grimm, The Purge, and I mean, she played Sarah Connor.
Right, and she was the crackhead in
the crackhead
in Dread.
She was the crackhead in Dread.
Yep, she played a scumbag in Dread, but she was awesome.
1973, also Neve Campbell.
Okay.
From Scream and The Craft, which I actually just watched for the first time probably about 6 months ago.
I still like The Craft, man.
Do you like the mac and cheese as well?
Yes, I do. The Velveeta's the best, though.
Yeah, I mean, facts. I gotta tell you a funny little story about Velveeta.
All right.
I don't know if my buddy will ever listen to this, but one time he was going to the store with my mom, and he was like, I'm going to Pathmark, which doesn't exist anymore. And he goes, oh, do you want me to pick you up anything? I said, you know what? Could you get me a box of Velveeta mac and cheese? You know, like, square box that you get. So they come back. He goes, hey, they were all out of the boxes of mac and cheese. So I bought a box of elbow macaronis and a block of Velveeta cheese, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this block of Velveeta cheese? Like, I just wanted a quick box of mac and cheese. I don't want to, like, go through the whole fucking process, like, melting this down and shit.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So what did you end up doing?
I just didn't eat that night. Like, it was already like 10 o'clock at night, so like I'm not really trying to like cook. I just want to throw like a pot of water on and just make like a quick box of mac and cheese. And he was like, they're sold out. He's like, well, what would you have wanted me to do? I'm like, just come back and be like, hey, they were sold out. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
Or you could have called and been like, hey, is there another type of mac and cheese you like?
In fairness, this was probably like 2008.
Still, though, I never
Yeah.
would have thought to bring back a block of cheese and
like,
a fucking
like
elbow
those like
macaroni
1 or
fucking
2
noodles.
pound blocks, like the
Yeah,
rectangle.
yeah.
You just brought back a box, a fucking block of Velveeta cheese.
Jesus.
Okay, so I just totally went off course there, back to Heart Hiss, but I thought you'd find that story funny.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So if my buddy ever listens, hey, at least I didn't say your name. For deaths, 1998, Roddy McDowall, who played Peter Vincent in the greatest vampire flick ever, Fright Night. He was
He
also
wasn't in Lost Boys, but he's awesome.
Cornelius in the OG Planet of the Apes. And then also for deaths, 2004, Janet Leigh, most known for Psycho, obviously. I'm not a big fan of H2O like you and Nicole are, but I did love that scene with her and Jamie Lee Curtis and then her leaving in the car from Psycho.
Yeah, it's an awesome scene for sure.
And then films, 1980, Terror Train and Hellraiser Inferno 2000. Got anything to say about Hellraiser Inferno?
No, I'll say it. I always talk about Terror Train, though. I watch it every New Year's Day. I love Terror Train, and Hellraiser Inferno is just ass, man. No, I just, no.
It's just ass.
Nope. Yeah, I'm good.
Moving on to October 4th for birthdays. Again, bringing up Planet of the Apes. We got Charlton Heston, and he was also in the Omega Man.
Yep, that was a good movie.
1941, Anne Rice, Interview with the Vampires, wrote that, and that whole book series. I don't even know how many books are in that series.
1941, wow.
And 1942, Christopher Stone, The Howling, Cujo.
Is Dee Wallace's ex-husband, yep.
1946, Susan Sarandon, Chris Sarandon's ex-wife. And Witches of Eastwick and Rocky Horror Picture Show.
You got me?
Dude.
You got me? That was good. That was good, man. I'm reading it. I was reading that as you said it, and I literally caught it as you said it, and yep, you got me. That was good.
It's funny, though, because I always say that every time to Nicole, and she gives me no reaction because she likes that movie. And I've said, she's like, yes, I heard you.
It pisses me off because you wanted a reaction, too, because after you said it, you peeked your head around your mic to see if I caught it.
And moving on, 1967, old cod and weary ass motherfucker, Liv Shriver. And he also appeared in the remake of The Omen.
Andy Sabretooth.
1976, Alicia Silverstone. She was good as a psycho bitch in The Crush.
Yeah, she was good in The Lodge, too.
Yeah, all 10 minutes before she splattered her brains everywhere.
Yeah, she Harry carried herself.
Harry Carey. I don't think that's how Harry Carey goes down usually. And this is where I tried to throw in the births on you here on October 5th. But the main homie, Donald Pleasance, he was known as a serious actor from his work in The Great Escape. He was the first to physically play Bond villain Blofeld. And he found the horror genre later in life. He had the horror franchise, the Halloween franchise, Prince of Darkness. I think there's a couple more I'm forgetting, but... And
yeah, he's done a lot of horror movies. Yeah, of course, there's The Freak or what's The Freak Maker, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He hasn't been, once he got into horror, he wasn't scared to do the schlock. You know what I mean? So that was kind of cool too. Yeah, man, Donald Pleasance, he went from The Great Escape to Escape from New York.
Fair enough. Well done. 1952, Clive Barker, novelist, director, a 6 on the sliding S&M scale.
As per Joe Bob.
Yeah, per Joe Bob. Wonder if he's, like I said, I still wonder if he's a 6. Just moving along on that one. 1980, Delaware's own Ty West, The X, Innkeeper, House of the Devil, Sacrament. What's your favorite Ty film?
I have to still say The Sacrament, man. I love that movie. Besides that, House of the Devil. I used to think Innkeepers, and then I went back to House of the Devil. I really like X, though, and I still like X more than Pearl. I like the slasher. I love that slasher film throwback that he did, and the fact that it looked so authentic. That's what I really liked. I liked X a lot, so that's why I liked it more than Pearl.
Now, I'm going to cheat. I think his best film is Pearl.
Okay.
But I don't consider it really straight horror.
Yeah.
But my favorite horror film, House of the Devil.
Movie's awesome.
But The Sacrament's like right there too.
Yeah.
The dude who plays father in there, it's really good.
I think his name in real life is like John Jones as opposed to Jim Jones, the dude he's playing. So,
Damn, Bones.
yeah. John Bones Jones.
And 1983 birthday, Peppy Little Spitfuck, Jesse Eisenberg from Zombieland. Like, I've said this so many times. How is it like our horror histories? I feel like there's like groups and themes of like going through the week.
I know.
Like a bunch of Planet of the Apes, Zombieland. And films, 2001.
Gene fucking Jones.
Jones.
That's his name. Gene Jones, not John Jones. Okay. Sorry about that.
2001 for films, we have Joyride.
Love Joyride.
It's funny because, like, Nicole's seen, like, you know, like, we've talked about, like, she saw all the, like, teenage horror movies, like the PG-13 ones, like Scream and stuff like that. Somehow that one slipped by her. I showed it to her a couple months ago.
She liked it?
Because I was like, she was like, I've never seen that. I was like, you would fucking love this movie. Like, I was like, I was like, and I'm not even like talking trash like it's bad because I like it too. It's a good movie, but I just felt like all the like type of horror she likes, I was like, that would be perfect, and she liked it.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of themes, October 6th for birthdays, 1963, Elizabeth Shue, another Delawarean, and somehow one day apart from Ty.
Nice.
And deaths were makeup artist Bob Westmoreland. He worked on the 1978 remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Twilight Zone, the movie. And for films, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning in 2006.
I love that fucking movie, man. It's a good fucking Leatherface movie.
Jessica Biel's.
Well, no, she's not in that one. She's in the remake. This is the prequel that
Oh,
shows you.
yeah.
Yeah, this one's fucking gritty as shit. Really.
Yeah,
like
she's
that.
in the 2003 one.
Yes, yeah. I go back and forth on which one I like more. Like, they're both really solid. I really like what New Line did.
And October 7th, we have births, Tom McBride. He might have the most memorable death from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's a lot of steps. Dylan Baker from Trick or Treat and The Cell. He gets fucked up.
Who's Dylan Baker? I'm trying to.
He's the one. He has the kid.
Oh,
and Brian
okay.
Cox yells, "Smells like a dead whore back here."
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh God, okay, yeah. I totally slipped on the name. Yeah, okay.
He's the one. He tries to like prey on Suki.
Yep, he's the vampire that ends up getting fucked up by the werewolves. So, yeah.
And deaths 1849, Edgar Allan Poe. Rumor is he cursed Delaware when being thrown out of the Deer Park Tavern in Newark for being drunk.
That's why Delaware sucks.
He says, "May all who leave enter here never leave."
Damn.
I mean, I don't know how you prove it was true, but like Deer Park sticks with the story that did happen.
Interesting. Maybe it had it took its toll on Delaware.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And
that curse is real.
2011, David Hess from Last House on the Left.
David Hess?
He was 69. Nice.
No. Fucking
And
stupid.
closing out the fucking week, Jesus. Closing out the week, October 8th for births, 1920. Just for you, Josh, Frank Herbert. Frank Herbert. 1943, R.L. Stein, obviously a big part of millennial childhood.
Yeah.
I remember all those scholastics coming in like, I need, like a fucking crack addict, I need the new Goosebump book.
Dude, you fucking love Goosebumps forever, man.
I had so many, I couldn't read all of them. I just kept like hoarding them. 1949, Sigourney Weaver.
The Weaver.
You probably no. Oh man, nope. I'm gonna stop before I say something disrespectful.
Good idea.
Films. Dude, I have never seen this, but I just saw the film name, and this is a film. Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla, 1952.
Okay. What the hell? That's Bela Lugosi. Like that's okay.
That's the movie title. Yeah.
Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla.
I haven't looked into it. I just wanted to include it because I saw the name.
Okay.
Children of the Corn 4 to Gather in 1996. Weird childhood memory. I remember it was a Sunday night. I asked my dad to record it because I saw it was going to come on one of the movie channels. And
The original or this one?
part 4.
Okay.
And he forgot to record. I think he didn't do it on purpose, but probably a good choice. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
2010, My Soul to Take. And also the same year, I Spit on Your Grave remake.
I Spit on Your Grave remake is one of the best remakes, for sure. Like that's one of the best ones ever. That goes, and especially like that's up there with like The Hills Have Eyes and things like that right now as regards to like best modern remakes.
For sure. And I guess now it's time to get into a little PPA, a little Puff Puff Ask.
Yo, man. Puff, puff, pass.
Puff Puff Ask is a segment of our show where we read off messages that you listeners write into us on social media at highonhorror420 or through email at highonhorror420@gmail.com or our website highonhorror.com. I'll start first. Okay, Gentlock on Instagram asked, are you guys looking forward to Saw X? Now, I had this question picked out, but then we kind of already got into this earlier, so I'm not going to really go deeper into that. Like I said, I'll just say I'm going to keep my expectations low. But, John, if you have anything to say before you move on, I just want to ask you one thing. Does it even matter with people anymore if the Saw movies suck? I feel like as long as the traps and torture and gore is inventive and there's a surplus of it, I feel like that's all people want to see in these movies anymore. Like that's why there's so many terrible ones. I feel that people like the movie can be terrible, but as long as they come out of it going, dude, did you see that dude's face getting ripped off? Like that's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, first, here's the bowl. I hit that twice, so you could probably finish it.
All right.
But, yeah, I feel like people are there for the traps, but I've talked with a bunch of coworkers about the new Saw movie. Because I'm like, it's called Saw 10, but it takes
Saw
place...
X.
But it takes place between Saw 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving anything away. We haven't seen it. This is literally just from the trailers and the movie description. John Kramer has cancer.
Yep.
He goes to Mexico. He decides to try this experimental treatment that people are trying out to help try to fight his cancer.
Yeah.
Come to find out it's all a scam. They're not helping anybody. They're just being greedy and taking people's money. So John Kramer, being Jigsaw, sets up a bunch of traps and a game to test these people. So what you're telling me is that the people he's putting in traps, we already know they're bad people. There's no moral ambiguity to it. Like, the joke I say is I don't know who needs to hear this, but I imagine Lionsgate. Jigsaw's not supposed to just be the hero. Like, he's taking people that are doing bad stuff to people, and that's not all what Jigsaw was about. Like, it was supposed to be... I feel like especially the first couple ones, you're supposed to take that line of, is he really helping people or is he going too far?
Yeah, he's not supposed to be like the hero, or like he's not supposed to be the hero of the movie. You're not supposed to be rooting for him.
You're supposed to be like, yeah, fucking kill all these people. Like, I mean, if you look at some of the early Saws, like, it was like drug addicts and stuff.
Yep.
And just stuff that he thought was bad. The one guy ate it too much. He put him in a fucking razor. Like,
yeah, right.
Like, this one, you're just being like, yo, these people we know, they're scum of the earth. There's no redemption. So Jigsaw's going to come in and, like, you're not supposed to be like, fuck yeah, Jigsaw, get him. I mean, I guess, to be fair, as horror fans, we do that with movies. But you know what I mean? Like,
you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to egg
the
us on
normal
to
person
do that.
watching, the whole point of Saw is he's not supposed to be the hero of the movie.
Don't egg us on to make him the hero. Let us make him the hero ourselves.
But I'll be there next weekend to see it.
Leatherface wasn't, bumped up to be the hero of the Texas Chainsaw, but he is. You know what I mean? So I don't like the forcefulness of it. I will say, at least they didn't just throw a backwards baseball cap on him in this one and try to say he was 10
like
years
Saw
younger.
3.
Yeah.
Was it Saw 3?
I believe so, yeah.
Which I will say, the first 3 movies should have just been a trilogy and that would have been fine.
I would have left
Pretty
it
much
like
everybody.
I still think 3 is a step down, but I'd take it at 3.
It's a step down, but literally, I guess you could say it's not wrapped up, but pretty much everything is wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Even with
that dude
Amanda,
comes
yeah.
in, shoots her, kills her, Jigsaw's dead. The tape plays and was basically like, if you harm her, you're going to be stuck. I might be wrong, but it's been a while since
It's been
I've
a
seen
while,
three.
yeah.
But basically, like, because he killed her, like, he's stuck in this room forever and he won't get out.
Yeah.
Everything's been, like, pretty much neatly tied up, and then we made now, Jesus Christ, 7 more?
7 more. Talk about the Fast and the Furious. You were mentioning that
I'd
shit
still rather
earlier.
watch Saw. I will say, all except for part 3 of Saw, I saw pretty much up until they did Spiral. I saw them all in theaters.
Yeah.
I every year enjoyed them for what they were. Doing the 31 Days of Halloween, the one year I did franchises, and I started out with Saw, and I was wrong. Way off. I knew they weren't going to be great or possibly good, but I thought they'd be serviceable. But my God, watching them all back to back, day after day, that quality drops quick.
Yeah, for sure.
I got that Hellraiser quality drop. The later one's the only thing that is any good. The only people that can act are Tobin Bell, Costas, Matador. I can't remember his last name, but the guy plays. I call him Matador. Played Hoffman.
Yeah.
And the woman that plays Jill Tuck was okay. Like, those outside of those three, good God, that is terrible acting.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree. Just like straight plucked off the street actors, like yeah.
and you want to know something fucked up? As I was talking to Kenny about it, and he goes, "Dude, I thought Tobin Bell died." I was like, "Nah, he's still." I was like, "He's like 80, but nah, he's still alive." So all that said, not really looking forward to it, but I will be there next weekend.
Yep, same here.
So, all right. So that was a long-winded answer talking about the entire Saw thing. To just go, nah, I don't think it's gonna be good. Dude, I lost. Quickly back to it. I was going to go to the next question, but Jigsaw's the one that just really lost me. Like all the other ones, I could forgive them for not being good movies. But Jigsaw, like, absolutely destroyed the character of Jigsaw.
I agree, yeah.
Oh, I felt bad that I shouldn't have put you in a trap. We have 7 other movies where that never once happened.
Yeah, right.
Bro, some of the, like I said, one homeboy ate too much and he got put in a trap. So you gonna tell me that he felt bad for that guy?
Yeah, that's,
Like,
I totally understand.
I was like, Jigsaw's not supposed to be the hero. Jigsaw's not supposed to be empathetic either.
Yeah, yep.
But what do I know? Not a whole lot. I've never made a movie, so they can tell me fuck off. Anyway, let me move on. Court Sampson asks, what do you guys think of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game? I saw TCM. I almost read that as Turner Classic Movies.
I do that too, man.
So this will be an easy one for me. This is a little bit of a switch for us. I haven't played it.
What? I thought for sure you played it.
I haven't played it.
What?
I've seen screenshots. I've looked at it. I'm just not a big Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan.
But dude, it is
and I
so
know it'll be
fun.
fun, but it's just
It's essentially it's Dead by Daylight, but with like better gears. It's better controls. Like it's really cool, man. I love it. I'm hooked. I haven't played in a week or so, but I was going hard for days. I had to slow down for work, but I'm gonna get back into it this week. Like I said, the controls are smooth and it's just a ton of fun, man. And I've only been Leatherface so far though, so I'm gonna try and maybe be like the Hitchhiker next time and mix it up or something. But we'll see, because I love being Leatherface. But I can't believe you haven't played it.
I haven't. I should have probably mentioned this when we were talking about current events, but my high ass just gonna bring it up on PPA. Did you see the Killer Clowns from Outer Space movie? The movie, like the video game they're making. I'd been on the Discord and it just has been dormant for months.
Yeah, right. I heard about that.
Now apparently Ilphonic bought it.
Okay.
So the ones that started with the Friday the 13th game, so apparently they're going to be developing that. Apparently, from what I understand, is if they keep it the same, it'll be a team of 3 clowns against 6 people.
Oh shit, dude.
But I'm excited for that one.
So did the release date get pushed back because wasn't it supposed to come out this year?
They didn't have any release date. I've been on their Discord and it had been kind of dormant. And then It was like we sold it over. It sounds like probably they got stuck and maybe ran out of money, or
Okay.
I'm fully speculating and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
nothing to back this up on. But Ilphonic did good with the Friday the 13th game. I still enjoy playing it.
Yeah, I do too, man.
I scared the shit out of Nicole because I had the volume a little too loud. And I was just playing against bots, just as Jason, just, to relax, just playing as Jason, going around slaughtering teenagers in camp.
Yeah, right.
Just to blow off some steam. With just like Nicole just hears like the screaming is like he's just like crushing her head.
Dude, I had a funny moment happen, and let me tell you real quick. In Texas Chainsaw, one of the things, it's 3 people, 3 family members versus 5 victims, okay?
So that's what they're going to be doing
Correct.
with the Killer Clowns game.
Right. So basically, though, what happens is, like, you start off in the basement. Everybody starts off in the basement. And Grandpop's upstairs, and, like, when he gets alerted, like, by somebody moving upstairs, like a victim or something, then, like, all the doors open and you can get out of the basement. But, like, until then, like, you're just hunting people in the basement. But my point is that there's outside, once you get outside and you're, like, in the yard, there's wells. And the wells are, I mean, like, you can't do nothing as a family member, but the victims can, like, go down the wells to get away from you and, like, jump down them. I didn't know, though, that, like, when you jump down the well, that, like, it takes, like, a little bit of toll on your health because it's kind of like a fall.
That's what I figured, yeah.
But I was Leatherface, and I mean, the dude, I was Leatherface, and there was a hitchhiker, and I forget who the other person was. It doesn't matter, but there was obviously the 3 killers, and I was Leatherface, and I got 2 of the kills, and then there was 1 each for the other 2 players, and it was funny because I fucking hit this dude in the back 3 times with my chainsaw, and he kept fucking running, and I was like, how the fuck is he not dead? I was getting so mad. So I run up on him, and he's faster than me, but he runs up and he's going over to the fucking well, and I was like, no, you fucking don't, you motherfucker. And I ran up on him, and right as he was about to jump in the well, I slashed him on the back again, and then he fucking still got down the well, and I was like, you motherfucker. And then, like, a minute later, it said, like, game over. He fucking died from the fall, and I was like, oh yeah, I got him. So then, like, that kill went on my record, so I was really proud of that. But yeah, we're gonna have to play it sometime. It's super easy, dude. It's like little 20-minute bouts.
Yeah, I mean, I like Dead by Daylight. I enjoyed the Friday the 13th game. I'd really like a Halloween game. I mean, I guess the thing is, I guess you can be Michael and
Yeah, or
Dead
Lori.
by Daylight, but it's not the same thing.
Imagine just being Michael, just creep. I would just be like, so just stand in the corner of a room all day and just stand there waiting for people.
Dude, I'll tell
I'd
you
play the
though,
shape.
it's hard to play as Michael.
Yeah.
I mean, but I kind of suck as the killers most time. But, dude, there's been times because, like, you can hold a button and it's supposed to be like Michael's stalk ability. So, like, you don't hear the Halloween theme playing. It's just silent.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been working on a generator, but the longer he stays and watches you, the more he powers up. So he doesn't necessarily just want to go in and attack you. So I'm working on the generator, and I just use my right thumbstick to move the camera, and I just see, like, Michael stand. Dude, even though it's a video game, I don't know how many times I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because I just turn around, and I just start running and just hear the ding, 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 ding. So all that to say, no, I have not played the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
Well, we're going to get you to do it, though, for sure.
I know. I need to get my Steam Deck back, and then I could play, like, I could probably play that more, but, yeah, so,
All right, well.
yeah, I got
guess-
nothing else.
All right, well, yeah. So if any of you have any questions for us, any of you listeners out there, reach out to us on social media at highonhorror420 or email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com or visit our website highonhorror.com. Now let's get into our review of Black Mold.
Black Mold is a 2023 American psychological horror film. Photographer Brooke, played by Agnes Albright from True Detective, and her pal Tanner, Andrew Bales, sneak into an abandoned, off-limit buildings for the sake of their art and also the adrenaline rush. But when the daredevil pair break into their holy grail, Franklin Hill, a large facility with a history, they encounter a dangerously paranoid squatter played by Jeremy Holm from Brooklyn 45. He holds them captive. The longer their attacker keeps them there, the more it becomes clear there's something else profoundly wrong with the place, as dangers surface at the intersection of artistic pursuits and internal sabotage. The film won Best Indie Feature at this year's Panic Fest in the United States, and Agnes Albright was also named Best Actress.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I guess, our squatter, they just kind of refer to him as the man upstairs.
Yeah.
I really like that beard. I'm gonna have to grow my beard out like that.
You're getting there.
I'm
You're
getting
almost
there.
Yeah.
I got that like Jack Black when he doesn't care about
You
himself.
should
for
get
months.
some fake bugs. You could be Satan and Hellraiser, but the crickets in your beard.
Or Alice Cooper in Prince of Darkness.
There you go.
They're just like chomping on like roaches and shit.
Ugh. Yeah. But yeah, so what's your thoughts on the movie? We promised John Pata that we wouldn't do spoilers. Normally we do spoilers for movies, but this one we promised to keep sacred. So we will keep the integrity of that.
Yeah, shit had me confused throughout the entire movie. Very much. You kind of get that.
I don't know if this is really happening or not.
The unreliable narrator, and there's some really good psycho shots, especially of Tanner.
Yeah.
And tell me, who do you think you would be more like in that situation dealing with the man upstairs? You're being held captive. Do you think you'd be more like Agnes or more like Tanner?
I'd be more like I feel like I'd be more like Agnes, I guess, because I mean Tanner, I have a little bit of a love-hate character with him because he's mouthy, but he's a pussy. He like there's a lot of times that he didn't do shit when he should have, but he loved to talk shit and run his mouth. So I don't know. I guess I'd be Agnes.
Josh gonna be like, "What's that clicking?"
That would be the vape. We should have like just one of us pops up with that. That's the vape.
See, I feel like I would have.
Maybe not.
That'd be funny. I feel like I would more outwardly act like Agnes, but I feel like inside I would definitely be feeling like Tanner. Like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah,
he attacked us. All we wanted to do was film some abandoned buildings.
Yep.
Dude, I always watch these movies and they always make me want to go like just break into like abandoned buildings. But I'm like, I know the second I do it, I'm gonna get caught.
And you could tell right away that the movie was shot very clean with some solid camera work. I really liked that.
Yeah, the cinematography was great.
Agreed.
I was gonna ask, what you should do is start getting a trash can fire pit.
Oh yeah, for what?
Just to have fires in the backyard. You just go out there, you just warm up.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like a bad idea. Actually, it seems pretty peaceful. I like bonfires and shit like that. It's
peaceful life.
Yeah, but I thought that that the chemistry between Brooke and Tanner was really good. I thought they had good chemistry. I believed their relationship on screen. There's a lot. I guess there's a lot I can't say to save face on spoilers, but there are a few scenes, one in particular that spooked me pretty good, and the movie kept me guessing every time. Like we said, right? It kept us guessing every time, and even though we were seeing through like a perceived vision.
And it's very mental.
Yes, yeah.
You definitely do a lot of thinking watching it.
Yeah, 100%.
I need to watch it a couple more times because
I wouldn't mind watching it a second time for sure. Yeah.
Maybe Arrow Video do a release of that.
That would be sweet, man. Definitely. But yeah, I guess like what I got from it was like, to sum this movie up, I thought trauma narrates life and dictates hallucinations.
I mean, that's a good way to look at it. I mean, but yeah, trauma definitely affects in this movie and in real life. Definitely dictates your life if you let it.
Yeah, I give this movie an 8 out of 10. I think that if you listeners out there, if you like horror movies that make you have to think and don't answer everything for you, maybe they're not as artsy or hard to follow as things like The Witch. Not to shit on The Witch, but if you always love
to just talk down The Witch, man.
If you like,
it's on my list this month.
If you like movies that make you think and make you come up with your own possible explanations that are ambiguous, but also are very well acted and have a lot of intensity. I think and suspense. I think that this is definitely the type of movie that you should check out wherever or whenever you get to see it. I think Black Mold is definitely worth checking out. I think the only type of people that wouldn't like this movie are the type of people that need everything explained to them, and it's okay if you're like that, but like it's always nice to open your mind a little bit.
Yeah, and get wrapped up to listen to you. I just totally blanked on something I wanted to say, and I just skipped right over. I was gonna say, yeah, I give it an 8 out of 10 as well. Now I remember. It benefits as something I feel like we've talked about numerous times of not trying to be too ambiguous with the setting.
Yeah,
just letting it breathe in a smaller setting, and doesn't. I feel like that's a lot of times with these smaller budget films makes it look big because they're stretching out the budget to get all these different locations, and I think that helped a lot with this film. Yeah, you're not going to get any straight answers. You can get your own answers out of the movie, but it's not gonna have a solid resolution for you.
Yeah, and I personally like that. If you like The Shining, then you can say you can watch this and totally be understanding.
So yeah, I'll go with you, flat 8.
All right, yeah.
So let's get into some burn and learn.
All right, we haven't done a burn and learn in a while. Let's do it.
Oh. Burn and learn.
All right, Burn and Learn is the segment of our show where we read off trivia about the movie we review that isn't common knowledge or things you'll easily find by searching on Google. To start, the first shot in Black Mold was the first half of the opening scene, the exterior of the camera moving through the neighborhood. The lasting shot was the second half of the opening scene, the interior once the camera is in the house. The two shots, later stitched together in the edit to appear as one fluid shot, were 6 months apart.
Wow, I would not have guessed that, but I guess that really is coming full circle.
Yeah.
Composer Nicholas Ehlert used found materials from the film's location to create the score. During production, he created a large library of sounds, from scraping metal on the floors and walls, banging on the HVAC system, stepping on broken glass, anything he could to make sound with, and then he used those sounds as instruments to build and execute the score.
Their picture car, a 1964 Jeep Wagoner, died at the end of day one, and they needed it for 2 shots on day 2, and their head of transportation wasn't able to get it running. Come day 3, it still wasn't running, but he came up with a solution. He attached a spare tire to the front of a buggy, got behind the Jeep, and gave it a running push. When they needed the Jeep to back up, he attached a tow cable and towed it out of the shot. John then painted out the cable and buggy in post. So that's one of those. They say that directing is problem solving on the fly, and that's why I think my anxiety I'd have a hard time directing a movie when shit like that happens. But kudos to them for getting through it.
So David Cronenberg. It's like a Conehead,
yeah.
But David Cronenberg. Anyway, so David Cronenberg, when he was directing and had problems on the fly, was it on the fly? That's a terrible dad joke. Anyway, the cast and crew took over a Holiday Inn in a small town. They rented the majority of the rooms. Every night they all ate together for dinner in the conference room, and then 2 things often happened. Half the group went off into the hot tub, greatly exceeding the occupancy limit, and the rest went on to their set, decorator Tiffany Janinski's hotel room, for face mask parties. John never made it to the hot tub, which the special effects artist Brian Zurich referred to as crew stew. When you think about it, it just sounds disgusting at some point. But John got down on a couple of the face mask parties.
Yeah, I would. That would be where I would be at for sure. The den, which is where the scenes with the man upstairs take place, was a set built in an abandoned hangar. The texture of the floor was created by covering carpet shreds with sand, cocoa, and oatmeal.
Huh. You know, like now that I know that, I can kind of, it makes sense now.
Yep.
I can picture the hangar, but yeah.
Yeah,
well
totally.
done.
Yeah, okay, so without further ado, let's get to our guest, John Pata, to talk more about the film.
Joining us today is the editor and producer of The Stylist, a film we've previously covered here on the show. But today we're talking to him about the new film he's directed, Black Mold. Thank you, John Pata, for being high on horror.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, John, I wanted to ask, you're on horror, but our buddy Joe Gavarkazian told us that you're not, that you don't partake in cannabis. I wanted to ask you, like, what your stance was on it, like, if you're against it, and I know you have past trauma like me, so I was, like, wondering how that maybe does or doesn't help you if you've tried that.
Yeah, I actually, I'm not against it at all. I'm completely for it, and I live in Wisconsin, where we're like one of the few Midwestern states that don't have legalized cannabis, and it's simply because the Tavern League runs this state, and the Tavern League does not want legalized marijuana because then they fear that they're going to lose a bunch of money, and I think that's absolute bullshit. And if alcohol is legalized, which I don't drink, I used to drink, I don't anymore, I'm not a fan of alcohol, but it's absolute horseshit that if alcohol should be legal, then absolutely cannabis should be as well.
Yeah.
And I co-wrote and produced a feature called Gags the Clown that came out in 2018, and it was a huge endeavor. It was very stressful, and it was also at a time when my mental health started really taking a dip. And one of the co-producers on that, he just handed me a pen of indica, and he was like, "I really think you should try this." He was like, "I think you could benefit from it a whole lot." And I sat on it for a little bit, and then I think it was like 2019. I used it from time to time, and I found such great effects of it. I would just use it just to like relax and turn my brain off, because that's something I've never been able to do.
Right.
And so I did use it for a little bit. I don't know if Jill actually knows that. So if Jill listens to this, she's probably going to be pissed at me from withholding this information from her. But I really haven't smoked too much in recent years. I think that there's a lot of benefits that come from it, and contradictory to like alcohol, where there's actually no physical benefits that come from it or mental benefits. I think there really is with cannabis. So I'm all for it. I'm just I don't know. I'm just a weirdo. I don't do caffeine. I don't really do anything. So I might not partake, but I'm all for it.
That's good. And yeah, I speaking of caffeine, I've learned mixing caffeine and cannabis is always bad for me. I just feel like so jittery. Sometimes I'll be like, why does everything feel so fast paced? I'm like, oh, I drank like a 20-ounce coffee and now I've like smoked. So
I was really enjoying indica, and I always did it at home. It would be like a Saturday night, I'm done with work, I'm going to chill. And then in May of 2019, I was in Montreal, Quebec for this punk festival called Pouza Fest. And they had recreational cannabis up there. So I was like, whatever, let's just try this. And then I decided to try sativa, which I had never done. And I found out that sativa and I do not go well together at all, especially when I'm in a room with like 300 people watching bands. I hit that absolute like paranoid. I was confident that I was manifesting a whole bunch of negative energy around me. I was trying to move around and avoid all these problems. And eventually my friend Ariane, who lives in Montreal and knows I don't drink and that, I don't really use any substances, she came up to me not knowing that I was high. And it was, it was like trying to talk to me about something. And then all of a sudden I just looked at her and I was like, Ariane, I am so fucking high right now. and she laughed a whole lot. But that's the last time I ever tried sativa. does not mix well with me. I'm way more of a at-home indica, just chill, instead of trying to have like a stimulant side of it.
I feel like the older I get, the more I'm like, I want to go towards the indicas.
Yeah, it for me, I thought it was great. I loved it.
And you brought up punk rock, and I was going to say your Instagram bio sounds like we should be like best friends. I love punk rock. I love
Oh yeah.
ska. Who are some of your favorite like punk bands?
Well, I just because you mentioned punk and ska, and I'm wearing a Stuck Lucky T-shirt. Stuck
Yep,
Lucky is out of Nashville, and they are one of my favorite bands of recent years. Really awesome ska core band that has very dark imagery, just like a moody feel. So yeah, Stuck Lucky. I cannot recommend them enough. But I mean, my favorite band of all time is the Suicide Machines. I bought their first album the day it came out on a whim in 1996, and just happened to stumble across this band that would change my life. So, I'm Suicide Machines are huge. The Swinging Utters are another big
that's
favorite
a
of
good one.
mine. Arms Aloft, which is a band from Wisconsin, they're on Red Scare Industries. Arms Aloft, one of my favorites. Love that band. Operation Ivy, obviously,
Yeah.
like, and the Specials, like those two bands, my life would not exist the way it is without Op Ivy and the Specials.
That's some good choices there.
And Avail, I think there's an Avail poster right behind me. I love Avail. Iron Chic, which is right by me here too. Their newer band, Dead to Me. I don't know. We could turn this podcast strictly into that.
And also, you said you love burritos. I saw you love veggie burritos. Now, are you just veggie burritos? Do you like anything else in your burrito?
Well, I haven't eaten meat in 22 years, and so basically anything that is not meat, I will love the shit out of in burritos. I don't do a lot of cheese or dairy, but I in recent years I have discovered that it's all about the salsa verde. I don't care what is in the burrito. If the burrito is grilled, that is a necessity, and you can even grill it at home in a frying pan or a skillet if you have it. Just pop that shit on there for a few seconds, and then just smother it in salsa verde. Amazing.
I do love my burritos. My burritos grilled.
Yes, and actually, I told Jill I was staying at Jill's. I don't even remember when that was. 2 years ago, I was staying at Jill's, and often when I travel, a lot of people know this. I bring burrito fixings with me, and I always have my burritos ready to go. And I was grilling a burrito in Jill's kitchen, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, girl, your life is about to change right now if you have not been grilling your burritos at home."
Oh, that's awesome. I don't think I'm quite that committed to burritos that I bring my fixins with me, but
Well, and it's also a thing of just like depending on where I go, I don't know what my options are to eat, and so I like to just make sure I'm good, because
yeah.
thankfully now it's easier to find places with options that don't contain meat, but sometimes that's simply just a salad, and I love salad, but when I go to a restaurant, I would like to have something more than that.
And how did you get into the horror genre?
It was really just exposure from my dad. He was a really big science fiction fan, and so we would always he took me to see Total Recall when it came out in the theater, and I was 4. Because my mom and my brother were gone, and my dad was in charge of watching me. My dad was a big sci-fi fan, and he loved Philip K. Dick. And Total Recall just came out, and he was like, "I want to see this movie, but I got to watch my damn son." And then he was like, "I guess you can come with me." But through that, it was also stuff like Alien and John Carpenter's The Thing. Those would cross over. But then I saw Jaws when I was 6, and that was one, I loved it. But 2, my parents were really great about letting me watch whatever I wanted, but they would talk to me about it just to make sure I understood. This was a movie. This isn't real. These monsters, people made them. These murders, they're not actually being killed. And they were talking to me about Jaws, and they were telling me that the shark didn't work. And I was like, "What do you mean the shark didn't work?" Because again, I was 6 years old. And they said, "Well, they had to make this fake shark and put it in water." And that blew my mind that there was people whose job was to make this fake shark. and people got to make this world where there's a big ass shark terrorizing this community. So through Jaws, I then got turned into Movie Magic, which was a TV show. I think it was on like NBC or something, where they just showed special effects and sets and miniatures, and it was all about like the effects of movie world. And that just, again, I was just like, I can't believe people get to do this.
Right.
So those two things were very, very key about my love of horror. And then at the age of 10, I saw The Evil Dead for the first time. And even though I had seen Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and Halloween's and like all the studio horror, Evil Dead was kind of my first exposure to real independent horror. And at the time, I didn't know what I was seeing was people that had nothing to do with film or come from a film background get people together, grab a camera, grow in the woods, and make some crazy shit happen.
Right.
It felt different, and I loved it. And I became obsessed with it. And then from Sam Raimi's early work, I got turned on to Peter Jackson via Bad Taste and Dead Alive, and then Meet the Feebles. And then through there was Lloyd Kaufman with Troma Studios. And this whole idea of independent filmmaking and not having the money, not having the resources, but doing it anyway. And then that mixed with growing up in the punk scene and just like totally accustomed to this DIY do-it-yourself mentality, those two worlds collided, and that's when I was like, horror's the coolest shit ever.
Well, it's funny that you said that your parents like explained things to you, because that's exactly what I'm doing with my oldest son Abel, who's about to turn 6. I do the same thing. And literally, Jaws was like one of the last movies. I showed him the picture of Steven Spielberg like chilling in the mouth of the shark.
Yes,
Same thing, like you said. Like he's literally just blown away. Like that's a machine. That's a robot. Like and so I show him Chucky walking behind the scenes, like how they have like dudes with like green legs who get green screened out, and how like Chucky's just a doll. And I do the same stuff with him because I don't let him watch it. He catches it. When I'm a horror fan, he comes to see like Chucky here and there, and who's that? And I don't want him to be scared, so I break it down for him in those ways. And he's definitely showing an interest in like that shit. So I'm hoping maybe he'll be my key into like movies one day. He could be an effects guy and get me on set or something.
Awesome. Well, and kudos to you for taking the time to actually like talk to him about this stuff. And I think it's like you're saying, he might not watch it, but he's going to come across it. And whether that's at home or with other friends, or, I mean, the internet is its own thing that we did not experience growing up. But I just think that's like so key. And this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but I come back to it pretty often. My roommate owns a comic book store, and I did part-time hours at it for a few years. And I was working there when Deadpool came out, the first Deadpool. And a woman was in, and she said to me, she was like, "Can you believe they're marketing this movie towards my kid? My kid's 10 years old and he wants to see Deadpool. What am I supposed to do?" I was like, "Well, what are you supposed to do? You got two options. You let the kid see it, or you don't let the kid see it. Like that's your options." And she was really upset. And she was like, "I can't believe they're marketing it." And I was like, "Okay," or marketing it towards kids. And I was like, "They're not marketing it towards kids. They're not hiding the fact that this is an R-rated movie. But you want to talk about what was marketed towards kids? When we were growing up, my toys were Terminator, RoboCop,
Rambo.
RoboCop was marketed towards kids, and RoboCop is one of the most violent movies in existence.
Seriously,
and I love it. There was Toxic Avenger. There was the Toxic Avenger cartoons. There was Alien. There was Predator. This shit was truly marketed towards kids. And my parents were parents about it. They told me I could see some movies. They told me I couldn't see other movies. And then they talked to me about it to make sure I was okay watching this stuff. And I think about that from time to time. Like, how insane is it that RoboCop was marketed to children?
I mean, Rambo was too. I still have a Rambo toy from like the original run. I'm like, he comes with a fucking knife, like a bayonet. You're like, really? This is for a kid?
Yes. I remember those as well. Most definitely.
And your dad, you're not the first person, whose dad took him to a movie that they should have seen at too young of an age. I remember my dad taking me to see The Crow when I was like 4 years old. So I mean,
Awesome.
I've been there. But
Oh yeah.
I wanted to ask you, man. I heard in another interview you said that you were like loving like dabbling and making movies and stuff like as a kid. But at what age did you actually decide that like you wanted to make movies as a career?
When I was 22, I was a senior in college, and I went to school for graphic design because my plan was to start a screen printing shop because I started screen printing in high school and I loved it, and I was like, well, I have to make a living somehow, and I guess this is a cool way to do it. But there was always that love of filmmaking, and so when I was 22, in my senior year of college, I made my first short film, which was called Better Off Undead, which was a 29-minute zombie movie. And I used to describe it, it was like Mallrats meets Dawn of the Dead, but there was no mall. So it was like Kevin Smith humor with zombies. And that was just something my friends and I did for fun. And then I didn't expect anything to happen to that. I didn't expect to show it to anybody. But in making a zombie movie, we needed a bunch of extras, and so there was more and more people that got involved. And I was like, "Oh fuck it, let's just have a screening. Like we were gonna watch this just by ourselves. We'll have a screening." I got the theater on campus, and we had 2 sold out screenings of it, which was I think the theater held 200, so it wasn't like this massive turnout, but it was really fucking cool and really exciting, and that was in 2007, and so it definitely pushed my desire to make movies even further. And then I started going to horror conventions and we would host hotel room screenings and just like I met so many awesome people around there. But then I started the screen printing shop. And while working there, I was really frustrated and unhappy with my business partner. And I eventually brought on an employee, which was a longtime friend of mine named Adam Bartlett. And we started chatting about stories. And in 2009, we started fleshing out an idea of a story that became a film we co-wrote and directed called Dead Weight. But I sold my screen printing shop at the end of 2010 to fund Dead Weight. So I guess 2010, I was 26. So I guess 26 is when I took, I guess I would say, a more significant step towards it. And then it was really like 2015 when it became my full-time focus. And at that point I was 31 and I'm 39 now. So, I guess like the short answer, which I should have done in the first place instead of rambling on for so fucking long, was like my early 30s.
No, the long answer was the better answer. But listen,
Right.
you're a writer and a producer and an editor and a director. You've done it all. I got to ask you, what's your favorite thing to do? Most of our guests say that they prefer the editing process.
That's always my go-to. Like, I don't know if it truly is because I love every aspect of it. Writing is really exciting because that's when the idea is starting to come together and you're working through it and you're picturing things and like there's an excitement about that. And then production's great, but production's stressful and miserable as fuck. Like no matter what, because you're balancing schedules and availability and weather and locations. And I mean, just like filmmaking is nothing but problem solving. And from day one of production, nothing goes according to plan. So production's really cool because like you're there, you're seeing it happen in front of you, but it's exhausting and it is really, really challenging. And then when you get to editing, especially like on something like Black Mold, where I directed and edited, all those stressors disappear because now it's just me in front of my computer and I don't have to worry about what the weather's like. I don't have to worry about schedules or anything like that. It's just I can work when I want. But you can have the best day on set, but you don't know if it's going to work until you get in the edit. And that's something I always come back to. And I think that's why editing might be my favorite thing, because that's when the magic really starts to happen. You're seeing stuff come together and you're piecing it. You're like, the puzzle's in front of you. I mean, I guess that's, wow, now that I'm thinking about it, that's a really good way to put it. You're seeing the puzzle pieces all in front of you, And then when you start putting them together and they're connecting, and then you just get that excitement where all of a sudden you're like, oh, I fucking got this. And then that puzzle's now taking form. That's totally what editing is. So yeah, I think editing probably is my favorite. It's interesting that other
Nice.
people say
That's
that
awesome.
too, because I hear so many people say they hate editing because it's very tedious and like there's a million ways to go about things and you have to find the one that works. So I'm glad that some people don't like editing because then I get jobs that way because I could then, like I could edit the stylist and stuff
Right.
like that. So
Yeah, some of our past guests have basically said the same thing as you. It's this like when you're filming, everything's kind of raw, and you can see like what's going to be fixed about it while you're doing. When you're in editing, you're kind of perfecting it as you go. You're watching everything come together, and you're cutting out the shit you didn't want to see, and like that's pretty much like you said. That's like where the magic happens, so to speak, and it kind of becomes hard to walk away. You just want to sit there and finish the whole thing.
very much so. Absolutely. I on starting on the stylist, it was the first time that I was like really forcing myself to walk away. Like listen to my body when my brain starts kind of getting stagnant when I'm looking at something and I can't just instinctively figure it out. Okay, I'm tapped out. Like I'm done for the day. Because it's really easy to just stay in that edit for 8, 10, 12, 14 hours. But at that point, your brain is shot. And are you even making good decisions? Or something that might take you 2 hours to do that night would actually take you 20 minutes tomorrow when you're rested. So I've been trying to get in that better practice of like, just step away. It'll be here tomorrow. You can come back to it.
Right? It's always better to come back with a set of eyes. But I wanted to say that so like you're getting a lot of positive attention and solid reviews from Black Mold. The reason we have you here to talk to you about this movie, and I just wanted to know like how does that feel hearing some of that like high praise and the good ratings that you're getting. I mean, you haven't heard our episode yet, but trust me, it's getting a glowing review on here as well. But it did good at the festivals, and I just want to know how does that feel to hear the positive reviews, and also there's a lot of people like us here that like movies that fuck with your head, but when it comes to things like not being as they seem, like when the audience is left to figure it out, it's kind of 50-50 on who's going to like it and understand it. So I guess I have like a two-part question for you. Was that something that you were worried about when you made Black Mold, and how does it feel hearing the praise that you're getting?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for just taking interest in talking to me, but also feeling so positive about the movie. And it feels great to know that for some people the movie's working. Because I know I don't write stories that are appeal to wide audiences. Like I'm not, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the stories that I get interested in and passionate about, they're not the most accessible type of stories. And so after multiple films of like Dead Weight, when we made that, for example, that it's a zombie movie where you don't show the zombies. That's basically what it is. It's a survival movie. So the outbreak, if you will, is in the background and you hear about it and you know what's happened, but we never show it because we want to feature the characters. And of course, the response on that was like, cool, where are the zombies? Where are the zombies? Where are the zombies? And then Gags the Clown was everyone was expecting a clown running around killing people. And instead, that movie's Jaws. You could say Jaws is about a big shark that is attacking people, and you're right. But really, at the core, that movie is about the way a community is impacted by the events happening. And they're trying to adapt and sustain and the tension and the conflict that comes out of that. That's exactly what Gags the Clown is. But everyone was like, where's the clown? Where's the clown? Why isn't the clown killing people? The clown's on screen for like 2.5 minutes. And so at this point, I'm like, well, all right. I know exactly what the critiques are going to be or what people are going to be frustrated by or let down by. Right. And so in some ways, and speaking of Jill Gavargazian, I mean, there's texts that I have with her when we were finishing post production on Black Mold that I was like, I'm just preparing myself for no one to like this movie. Like, and that's not to say reflecting anything of the quality of the movie or the performances or the work that everybody put into it. But I was just like, I don't know how people are going to feel about this. And she was, yelling at me. She's like, you can't have that attitude. You can't think that way. You got to think people are going to like it. And so it's, I'll be honest, I was pretty surprised by the positive responses and delightfully surprised. Like, I'm very happy about it. And even the reviews that have come out that I've seen where people didn't necessarily like it, they're not just being like, oh, this movie's shit. They're just saying, it didn't work for me. But they're still able to acknowledge certain things that are. And that's great because as a filmmaker, I like to know what is working and what isn't working for people so I can grow. But the thing that feels best about the positive reviews is it just makes me so fucking proud of this cast and crew. I mean, I've been so proud of them from the get-go, and everybody worked their asses off and did such an incredible job. And we shot this film in actual abandoned locations. We didn't have power. We didn't have water. We didn't have heat. The power that we had huge ass generators that our G&E team were running hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet of cable just so we could have lights, just so then we could plug in space heaters so we had like a tiny little warming area. We built a set which we referred to as the den. It's where the man upstairs is sitting in his chair with the fire pit and where Brooke and Tanner are. That was a set that we built, but we built it in an abandoned hangar. So yes, we built a set, but it was still in this abandoned location without any of these conveniences. And logistically speaking, this film was just such a challenge to make. But everybody came through. Everybody was cold. Everybody was tired. Some days people were wet when we had our rain scenes. And yes, people were like, this sucks. But they were still there to do their jobs and they wanted to do their jobs. They did not see these issues or these challenges and back off. They ran right into them. And so when I see people talk positively about the film, or if I read a good review or anything, that's immediately what I go to, is that the cast and crew, they deserve this. They earn this. And I'm just really happy that other people are able to appreciate all the work that they put into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well earned all around for sure. And the majority of the movie takes place in abandoned locations, as you said. Not abandoned locations is the funeral home. But being in, just those few locations, that's great for budget. But what were some of the technical challenges of filming in those locations?
Well, yeah, like I said, not having power or water or heat, like huge challenges. But the other aspect of it, and we knew this going into it, were just the conditions themselves. The first house that Brooke and Tanner go to in the movie, when they go to the second floor, it's not really seen on camera, but the second floor, it was just insulation that basically had just melted and was hanging low. So because there's no windows, and wind is blowing through, insulation is just getting blown all over the place. And August, who was our second assistant camera, I remember him in particular, he was just struggling because it was just all like going right to his eyes. So he's trying to do his job, but then he's getting all this insulation in his eyes. And then just even minor things like you don't necessarily think of or you take for granted, just a place for people to put like their coffee down or their water. You're like, oh, there's raccoon shit right there. There's I don't know what's over there. And so those are just challenges, but our production team just nailed everything. And one of our houses was like a quarter mile off the road, and we shot in March, and the ground had just thawed, and so this dirt driveway just became like ankle deep mud and just wet mud, and we couldn't get our trucks down that to drop off all of our equipment. So we had to have people trucking it by foot, or we had like I think it was 2 4-wheelers that we could load some stuff up, but then run it down. And at the end of the night, you get done shooting a 12-hour day and you're exhausted, and now you have to pack up the truck, which is always the case, but now in this instance, you have to walk that shit a quarter of the mile up the road. And so it's just a lot of stuff like that. But I love abandoned locations, and I go into them for fun. I do photograph them. That is a hobby of mine. And so I'm accustomed to all this stuff, but I felt so bad that I was like, I'm here because I love this shit. But there's some other people, they're really excited, but they're also like, God damn it, why can't we just be in a studio? Like, why can't we have the luxuries of typical filmmaking? But I think it gives a film a very unique quality. There aren't a lot of films that do take place in abandoned or in buildings like this, and oftentimes when they are, they're post-apocalyptic, or like could be a zombie film or a movie like The Road. But just to have kind of like a normal story, not in, well, I don't know if I should say a normal story, but to have a not post-apocalyptic type story in these locations, I do believe it gives something different.
And I was gonna say, like the house on the Franklin Hill location, were they already like that bad? Like, how much work did you have to do to really make it that much worse?
A goal of mine was to work with as much practical set decoration as possible. So I would say what you see on camera, 80% of it is how it was. Some of the houses we did have to clean, like the first house they go to, where the second floor was all insulation hanging. I'm not kidding when there was like half an inch of raccoon shit across the entire second floor. And so that was something we did have to hire a crew to come in and remove that. But then what was really funny was they removed it and we went up and we're like, now we got to dirty it again. Like it looked too good. So there was a lot of just working with what was there. But then our art department did spruce up a few things here and there. And then even in that set that we built, everything you see in terms of set dressing, whether it's a shelving unit, there's like a vacuum cleaner in the distance, there's a file cabinet, that all came from our locations. We were very specific in just grab whatever you can find to build this set out. We're not going to buy anything. We're going to repurpose what is available to us.
Makes total sense. And I wanted to say that I take notes. I'm like a nerd, so I take notes when I'm watching movies. Things stand out to me, and one of the things that stood out to me in Black Mold is that the camera work is very, very clean and polished looking. So kudos on that. So I wanted to go back to asking you about like hardships during the movie. What was the most challenging scene to film from a technical standpoint, if you could say so without giving any spoilers away?
Well, thank you for that, and just the compliment on the cinematography. Robert Patrick Stern was our cinematographer on this, and his entire camera team and the electrical side, they just killed it. And I've been working with Rob since 2013 when we shot a short film that I directed called Pity, and this was the first time I got to direct a feature with him, and I was really excited to, because we've just established such a strong language and kind of understanding of camera work that I was just stoked to get in there and work with him. And I mean, the hardest scene probably, and it's so brief in the film, and this isn't even necessarily logistical, but towards the end of the film, there's a scene when Brooke goes outside and it's raining. And what made that so hard was it was cold that night. Now, we shot in central Illinois, and for that scene, we're at the end of March. And typically the high is like 60, 65. And at night, it gets down to like 50 something, which 50 can still be cold. But I think it was like 38 degrees that night. And the water that we had came from a fire hydrant. So the water came from the ground, and it was freezing cold. And our wardrobe team had a scuba suit on under Agnes Albright, who plays Brooke. to try to keep her warm, but they had to modify the scuba suit so it wasn't popping up out of her uniform, like, or out of her wardrobe on her neck. And when that happened, I think it was the second take and she was in the rain, her whole scuba suit just filled with freezing ice cold water. And
Oh shit.
she was fighting through it, and she was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, let's just get this. But it was so obvious that, you know, she was just freezing, like genuinely freezing. And our set medic is checking her out all the time, and he's like, yeah, you might only have so much time before hypothermia could actually be a thing. And so when you hear that, you're like, we have to adapt. We cannot
Right.
keep doing this. So we got to get her out of that. We brought in a double to do some of the shots, but that was hard because we had one night to shoot that scene. And I'm a very mindful person, and I want sets to be as healthy as possible, mentally, physically, just in all capacities. And so as a director, you're placed in a really unique situation when your actor, you know, your actors, one, willing to keep working, but two, keep working is making them, it's jeopardizing their health.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also know you have to have a scene. You have, like, well, okay, so then we stripped down, we were going to get all these other shots, but it was like, what is the bare essentials we need to get this scene? And how can we do this that is both taking care of Agnes and consideration for her well-being and also getting this done? And I mean, that's, unfortunately, that was a situation of, it was an indie film. You know, if this was a studio picture, maybe we could have split that into 2 days, and we could have come back the next night to get the rest of it. Just say, okay, we got this. We need to adapt. We need to figure something else out. We'll come back tomorrow, and we'll be able to do this more successfully. But that was a hard night because I just felt terrible. And Agnes is fucking awesome, and she was so committed to this movie, and I appreciate that. But it's also like, you can only commit so much as your body will allow. Like, at one point, your body is going to say, nope, fuck you. So that was really, really difficult. I just felt bad. And at one point, she apologized to me later about this, and I didn't even take offense to it. But she said, what were you thinking when you wrote this scene in your apartment when you were dry and warm? And no joke, going back to The Crow, because of The Crow, I love rain at night. And that is something, my short film, Pity, the whole thing, it's a 7-minute film, rain at night. Other scripts that I have written that we haven't made yet, rain at night. And that is simply because of The Crow. And I'm not even lying on that.
I'm the same way. I love when it's raining at night and like cracking a window and just like listening to the rain, you know, like while it's dark out. Like, I love that. I think it's, I never pinned it that it stemmed from that, but you're probably dead on with that. I'm gonna have to agree because I've always liked rain at night. So there's definitely some sort of link there.
Yes, and at least I should say on screen, the reason that I love writing scenes that have rain at night is because of The Crow. But as a kid growing up, my mom and I would sit on our porch and watch thunderstorms, and especially at night. And so I think that stems from, because I'm the same way with you. When it's raining outside, I'm going to crack the window and just sit by it and listen to it because it is beautiful and calming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask you, did Agnes and Andrew spend any time together, like off screen, or were they friends before they got cast for the roles of Brooke and Tanner? Because they have like really good chemistry, and I felt that with the movie being like, with them carrying the movie on their shoulders, that's always important, that your characters, not only can they act, but that they actually, you can tell that they like each other, that the bond that they're saying they have is real. It really felt that way. So I wanted to know, like, was there any sort of like behind the scenes chemistry with them too, or was that just them being professionals, you saying action and boom, on the spot they're just turning it on?
Thank you. I agree wholeheartedly. I love their chemistry, and it was genuine. They had not met before this, and actually we cast Andrew Bales, who played Tanner, we cast him 3 days before we started shooting. So he got thrown into this super last minute, but we shot in central Illinois, as I said, which was in the town of Rantoul, which Rantoul has like 13,000 people. It's a very small community. But I mean, just simple to say, like, there's not a whole lot to do in Rantoul. And we pretty much filled a Holiday Inn with cast and crew. And Andrew and Agnes spent like all their time together when we weren't filming. They were obviously together all the time when we were filming, but then on our days off, there was a Walmart like half a block away, and they would just walk to the Walmart and walk around just to get out of the hotel, and they'd have their meals together. So there was a true connection and genuine friendship that formed pretty fast and intensely, because that's kind of what happens on films. You spend so much time together that it's just this bond happens. But I mean, they're still super good friends, and Agnes lives in LA and Andrew's in Chicago, but they're talking quite regularly, and we've seen each other a handful of times since production. So yeah, they're just that professional, but also, yeah, they're friends too now.
That's awesome. And yeah, I'm going to actually jump back to the rain at night thing here, because me and my fiance fight all the time about leaving the window open when it's raining. But also, I think I like rain at night because of Friday the 13th movies,
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
especially part 4 and like the beginning of part 5.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, part 4 is the best, right? Like, we're just gonna go there. That's the best Friday the 13th.
Part
I'm
6.
agreeing with you. I'm agreeing.
Okay, six is my second favorite. So
I mean, neither one's a wrong choice.
right. Yeah, I love the brutality of the fourth one. Like, that one is just intense. Like, it is a dirty slasher film. But then 6 is just fun as shit. They just embrace. They're like, we're the 6th entry in the Friday the 13th movie. Let's throw a triple decapitation in here, because why the fuck not?
Or it's still the best one, and CJ Graham told us it's his favorite kill in there is when he folds the sheriff backwards.
Yes, and I think on the Blu-ray set, they had the full take of that. You know, 'cause, like, in the theatrical cut, it's pretty quick. But yeah, like, seeing the full take was awesome.
Now you wrote an outline for what later became Black Mold, and you wrote it while you were dealing with some depression, and then later revised it after attended therapy. How do you think that helped change the script after getting the therapy?
Wow, that's a really awesome question. In some ways, I don't think I could have written the script before I was in therapy, and just because I have such a different perspective on everything in my life now after going to therapy. I have a better understanding of myself. I have a better understanding of what affects me, but not just what affects me, but why it affects me, and understanding how my past has influenced my present. So I, I'm not gonna say like this is the greatest script ever written, and other people might say that it's not a good script, period. But I think I would have churned out an unbelievably bullshit script if I would have first wrote this in 2016 when I had the initial idea and I wrote my outline. I don't think I would have understood where it was going and why it was going there. Like, I knew in 2016, I kind of knew where the ending would be, but to be able to give context to that ending, I don't think I would have been able to. So yeah, I don't know. And I was actually just talking with my therapist the other day about the film, and Brooke Tanner and the man upstairs, those are all reflections of my different personalities. Like that, like my trauma is Brooke, my anxiety and like lack of trust of people is the man upstairs, and then the pretending everything's fine, but kind of not being heard is Tanner. And so, yeah, I don't, but I know that now. Like I don't even think I realized that when I wrote it. But when I look back at it now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is just my struggles with mental health put in physical form with each of these characters. So I think it's just a more personally influenced and complete script post therapy. And I don't know if that makes sense for anybody else.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to the anxiety a lot and the mistrust of people.
Yes.
And this one's a little more of a lighter question than that, but the Jesus pin that Tanner finds, did you guys
Yeah.
make that? Did you guys buy it? Because, like, I want one of those.
Well, okay, that was something that day in 2016. It was August 2016 when the idea of Black Mold came to me. I was in a house photographing it, and I found a statue that I thought was of Jesus with its head gone, and I took a picture of it, and so that's why I wrote it in the script. And then I showed our set decorator that photo as a reference, and she's like, "John, that's not Jesus. That's like Saint Peter or something." And I was like, "Oh, I don't care. I wanted to be Jesus in this movie." So we bought a couple of different statues of Jesus. I think Sam got them from like a church wholesale place or something, and then we just broke them. And it was just like, you get one crack each, if you break it too much, we're not going to use it. So the way it broke, the head came off perfectly. So I have the statue it's on my shelf, but we did not get to make more of those, but maybe we will.
And did you purposely want to have a dirtier bathroom than the Saw movies?
I'm going to just say yes. If that's the way, if you saw it as dirtier than the Saw bathrooms, then yes, that was absolutely intentional.
I saw it and I was like, man, like, I thought the first Saw movie was like, I thought that was the grimiest bathroom, like, I've ever seen, but like, you guys topped it.
Well, thank you. Again, that is all props to our art team. And that was the bathroom and then the room outside the bathroom where the man upstairs sits with the fire. Those were our two sets. So they built that from scratch.
And I wanted to ask if there was any significance to there being 3 scarecrows specifically.
And are you asking in a religious context?
No, just more a general context. If there was specifically like, oh, it has to be 3.
So it's interesting because aside, like there's the Jesus thing when they find the statue of the headless Jesus, and then Tanner finds the head, and that was written in there, and in the script it was written as 3 scarecrows because I kind of was just like, well, 1 would be kind of scary, but 3 would make it even more scary. And someone on set brought up, they asked me if like this religious imagery was intentional. And I'm not a religious person. I'm a staunch atheist, and I have been for a very, very long time. But I, unfortunately, went to Catholic school for most of my life. And I had horrible experiences at Catholic school. I was abused at school, in middle school and high school. And thank God I went to Catholic school because it made me an atheist. But I think that like there's some subconscious part of me that was like tapping into that part of my life with those movies or with those images. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to say, I think I just wanted 3 because I thought 3 would have been cooler than 1.
Fair enough.
Were you wondering if it was connection to anything else, or did anything pop in your mind?
I was thinking a connection between the 3 three characters.
Ah, shit. Now you're getting deep and analytical. Yes, we're gonna say we're gonna say. Well, okay. Actually, fuck. That's a really interesting. Huh.
Got
You know
you.
that there might be something there because now as I'm like working through it in my head. Yeah,
I
there
was just
might be.
thinking I just went too deep into trying to figure out three scarecrows, and it was just because it looks badass.
No, I appreciate that. And maybe it was a little bit of both. Again, maybe subconscious was telling me three because of the three characters. Because CJ's represented with one of them, obviously. So then it makes sense that we would have a Brooke and a Tanner. Damn. Damn. Could we rewind the clock and could you bring this up before production?
I wanted to say that at the climax of Black Mold, shit hits the fan in every kind of way, and everything gets sucked into this downward spiral. It's very tense and fast paced and very anxiety inducing. What was it like on set for those shots? Was the anxiety and tension real on set, or was it just like, all like everybody chill and relaxed until you called action?
Well, again, thank you for saying that because that was my goal with that climax. Is I wanted it to feel exactly what you said. So that means a
Absolutely.
lot. And we shot the final scene, which just to avoid spoilers, what I'll say is from when Brooke comes in from outside through everything that happens. We shot that scene over the course of 3 days, and that was something that I don't want to say I fought for because it wasn't a fight, but that I was very stern about. I think initially the schedule came with it in 2 days, and I just said like there is so much emotional stuff going on top of physical stuff, on top of effects work that 2 days I sure we could do it. I mean with filmmaking, you always have to do whatever time you have allotted, but I really wanted 3 days so we could just kind of take it at a healthier pace and try not to have it be so panic stricken like the actual scene. So the scene or the set overall for Black Mold, I would say was very casual, was very fun because a lot of us have worked together. We just have a lot of great personalities together, so there's a lot of laughing and cracking jokes and like everyone was there to work, but everyone's also there to have a good time and I love that and that's what I want out of sets. But on those 3 days, I mean it was definitely like it was more focused, and that's not to say that it was unfocused elsewhere in the production, but we did just have a lot heavier stuff to film, and like Andrew Bales, who plays Tanner, sometimes we'd have to reel him in because you yell cut and then he's just like chatting up whoever's standing by him and cracking jokes because he's just a very personable person, and we'd have to just be like, Andrew, back to earth, come on, let's go, we gotta work. But on those days, especially for what his character goes through and does, he was removing himself a little bit more to like, give him the space to like stay in a certain mental place, especially for the duality that exists between Tanner in that scene. So they were really long days, as every day on set is, but they were it was a complete privilege to be able to shoot that scene over 3 days. And when I watch it now, I can't help but realize that that was the absolute right thing because we really got to craft the scene the way that I wanted it to be.
That's awesome. Now you made me feel very nostalgic with the whole like film development stuff.
Oh yeah.
As a kid, like my parents converted our kitchen in times into like a dark room to like develop film.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it just like blew my mind that like they could put this shiny piece of paper in this chemical, go take it to this chemical. Like they had timers like going off everywhere, and like
Yeah.
and you're talking about taking photos. So did you have a lot of experience with like developing film as well?
I did. So I took my first true photography class my senior year of high school, and I was actually kicked out of the Catholic school that I went to that I mentioned earlier. And then I went to a public school for my senior year of high school, and it was immaculate compared to to that bullshit. But my first semester of senior year, I had photo one, and my mom was a photographer growing up, but she never did a dark room or anything like that. She just, would send her film off to get developed. And I just loved that process, and I loved being in the dark room. And then I took photo two in high school, and then when I was in college, I took 3 semesters of photography.
Oh, wow.
And so all of those were based in the dark room. And yes, I spent a lot of time in dark rooms inhaling those chemicals. but in a way, I mean, now I'm kind of making the connection, which is really interesting. The dark room is very reminiscent of editing. Because again,
Yeah.
like when you're out taking your photos, you could know you get the right exposure, you think you have it in focus, but you don't know what that image is really going to look like until you're in the dark room. And then when you get in the dark room, you can control that image even further by burning certain areas or dodging other areas, or the way that you load the film into the tray. And do you have the borders of that negative appear in your image? And yeah, so yes, I love dark rooms. I haven't actually been in a proper dark room in like 15 or 16 years. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's been a long time for me as well. And it's kind of funny, I forgot about the whole process about, like, you don't really know. Like, I know there's so many times when parents, this one's not a good one.
Right. Yep. And I mean, and that's definitely something we don't show in the film. Is like,
Yeah.
the test strips you
We're
have
going
to
all
make
this for this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like crazy. Like, I mean, nobody's really had experience with, like, you're spending like 5-10 minutes just to develop this piece of paper to go, oh, this was shit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we even went through that because we wanted to develop or to enlarge those photos practically. So we had like our on camera versions, which paper was already exposed, and when you're seeing the enlarger go off, we're not actually trying to expose any paper because we had certain lights that we needed on for filming. But then we turned all those lights off, and then we actually were developing those photos. And we were trying some of those, but we built that set in an abandoned building, and we couldn't get all the light that was spilling from various places. And Marin Celeste, who was kind of in charge of all the darkroom stuff, she had like this huge tarp over her to try to make sure that there was no light getting in. And our situation was kind of amazing. But unfortunately, the stuff that you do see in the film when the photos are developing, that was all stuff digitally I had to do in post.
And is there a message or anything you'd like people to take away from the film?
Gosh, wow. Also, I'm like, how do I answer this without sounding just like a pompous asshole? I think, if anything, and it's because I don't know what everyone's personal experiences are whatsoever, but and I hope people watching Black Mold don't fully connect to the experience that Brooke has had in her life. But if Black Mold can get people to reflect on their own experiences and their own past, and just kind of where they are now, mentally and emotionally, that would be great. That would just be awesome if it allows people to look at themselves and maybe talk to a friend or talk to a therapist, or if any way it helps people on their mental health journey, even in the smallest form, I would feel like it's a success.
Yeah, I don't think you have to go through the same things that Brooke did to relate to her in the movie. Everybody's had their own traumas and past experiences that we've all had to deal with. And we want to thank you again for joining us today. And before we get out of here, do you have any upcoming projects that you can talk about? I know there's a lot of times. Actually, are we allowed to with the strike? I don't know how that affects that. If you're allowed to talk
Oh,
about anything,
right. And that's a very fair question.
I
And
forgot
I
all
am
about the strike.
right. And I'm not in any of the guilds, and so I'm not a scab for being here. I mean, it's worth noting that I absolutely fully support these strikes.
Of course.
And I support workers in all fields, not even just the film industry, but workers should get a good compensation for the work that they do instead of all the money just going to these rich CEO pricks and assholes that run this world. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm definitely just in the writing process. You know, the strike does make it. We don't know when we're going to be able to go back to work, and so it's hard to even try to think about getting something going right now because there's just so much that is unknown at the moment. So Andrew Bales and Andrew who plays Tanner, we've been approached to develop something. So we've been working on that for the last about 2 months and should be wrapping it up pretty soon. But I don't know what's next. I hope I get the opportunity to make another film, but it's been 9 years since I directed between Pity, which was a short film, and Black Mold. And it takes a lot to make a movie. So many things have to fall into place. I would love to think it's going to happen again, but I understand that there's so many factors that it might not. It might, but it also might not. So I really hope I get the opportunity to direct again because there's a lot of stories I have that I would love to tell. And I hope someday I'll have something that we can talk about again because that means that I'll have made another film.
That'd be awesome. We'd love to have you on again. And
I would love to be here. So thank you so much.
And again, we love Black Mold. We're glad we got to talk to you about it today. And thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you. Yes, thank you for supporting the film, but thank you just for supporting all films and especially independent horror. We need people like you. So thank you, High on Horror.
We appreciate it. Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Thank you again to John Pata for joining us today. Again to talk about Black Mold. Next week, we'll have a review of Amy, the Visitor. It's a weird title. It's a weird movie. It's from Full Moon, so you should expect weird when you get Full Moon. So we'll have a review of that for you next week. Make sure to follow us on social media, High on Horror 420, Facebook, Twitter. Do we just call it X now?
I guess.
I always see X, formerly Twitter. So
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, X or Twitter, follow us there. TikTok, obviously send your Puff Ass questions to highonhorror420@gmail.com. And check out our website, highonhorror.com. I guess that'll about wrap her up. Catch you later.
Thanks for listening. Catch you next week.